Visalaw is the first immigration intelligence platform built by immigration lawyers for immigration lawyers. We built it to support every area of an immigration law firm's work, not just research, not just drafting, but the full practice of immigration law, restoring attorneys' time for client advocacy. It starts with data. Visalaw AI is built on the largest and most robust immigration law dataset available, curated by immigration attorneys and continuously updated. Every feature, workflow, and AI capability is grounded in authoritative immigration law. The platform is built with enterprise-grade security, and customer data is never retained or used to train AI models. Our improved case law tools deliver faster, deeper legal analysis with clear authority, stronger context, and reliable citations you can trust. Our new research agent goes further. It identifies your practice area, checks live government sources for policy changes through GovSync, searches the full catalog of U.S. case law, statutes, and regulations when needed, and verifies every citation before results reach you. Visalaw AI. This is immigration intelligence you can trust.
All right, welcome in. My name is Ian Schiller. I'm here with Visalaw AI along with Tyler Davis here. Tyler, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Hope you are too, Ian.
I'm doing great. It's a good Tuesday, so I hope everybody who's joining us today is also enjoying the start of their week. Today, we're going to be doing some VAWA work, some I-360 self-petition work, and we're going to walk you through in this demo and discuss today a few things. We're going to show you some generally a workflow process that we think is really helpful for these case types. In this demo, we're going to show you a few simple prompts that we use. These are not extreme prompts. I know we've talked about before, Tyler. We've got sort of low effort prompts, and you've got sort of high effort prompts. We've built some high effort prompts that people can use in our skills library. Today, we're going to sort of meet in the middle there, and we're going to show you some prompts that we've built that we know are really beneficial on these case types. And I think one thing that people should take away from today is that, we can go from just a messy document dump here and just putting everything in an organization file. And then you actually get to a point where you have attorney-ready work products that you're able to really start diving into these cases on. So we're going to build some timelines. We got 29 documents, 28 or 29 documents that we're working with today. We're going to map some evidence to those. And then we're going to work through this VAWA file. So this is a great process. I always find that, whether you're a solo attorney or whether you're a paralegal or some other support staff that's working in this process, this is something that is easy enough for everybody to do. And whether you're triaging this case or whether you're working on, the case details and the strategy here. As the attorney, these are processes that can be really, really helpful, especially knowing how complicated these VAWA cases can be and how sensitive they are. And I think one thing, Tyler, that we're going to be sort of framing our entire discussion today is, you may or may not know whether your entire staff is using AI in their work currently. One of the reasons we built Visalaw AI is because of the security and privacy protections that go into it. You can't just be using, a ChatGPT or a Claude on a free account. That's really, really dangerous, especially for these case types, which can be really have a lot of sensitive information. Tyler, would you mind filling us in a little bit about what are some of the security protections that go into Visalaw AI are and how they differentiate a little bit?
Absolutely. So Visalaw by default is going to abide by a strict no data retention policy. So by default, you're going to receive an enterprise level security agreement with Visalaw, something similar that you would see in a $200 ChatGPT account, right? The enterprise account for ChatGPT. If you are ever putting client data, sensitive material into any of these programs, you're going to need that enterprise level security agreement. with any AI vendor that you're encountering. By default, our system is not retaining any data, and it's also not training any models on any data that you put in throughout the system, whether it's uploading documents for case preparation, uploading evidence to draft a petition, and anything in between. So simply put, most AI tools, especially the free or the less expensive, pro versions of ChatGPT, just as an example, are not designed to interact with your client's data. Whereas Visalaw is purpose built for that reason, for that use case, and you can feel comfortable putting sensitive material and interacting with that within Visalaw.
And one of the great things that goes along with that is because Visalaw is, built for your immigration work. ChatGPT, Claude, even if you do have these more expensive versions, you avoid some data leakage, which is what I call it. Where you have documents or you have information that you're using in both of these circumstances. You have a purpose-built immigration specific AI that's going to be holding these documents, protecting them, protecting that client info, and protecting you at the same time. So that's a good framer here, especially for these case types. So let's go ahead and get straight into the workflow, Tyler. And I'm going to pull up your screen. And for anybody who is joining us today, feel free to use the comment section if you have any questions throughout today. Happy to get those answered for you as we go through today's processes.
Absolutely. Keep those questions coming. We're going to try to cut down on the time that Ian and I are taking to talk on this webinar. So we should have plenty of time to get the questions at the end of the call. Just to introduce Visalaw, in case this is our first time looking at the system and doing a webinar or demo, Visalaw is going to be an immigration intelligence platform. We are one platform, all specific to immigration law. All powered by AI, designed to give you support throughout the lifespan of the case. We do a lot surrounding case preparation and legal research, which is where we're going to spend our time during today's webinar. But after that case preparation is done and we transition to actually drafting a letter or drafting a petition, we do support the full drafting workflow of compiling a petition packet for various family and humanitarian, but also business and employment case types. And we do support VAWAs specifically, which is what we're going to cover on Thursday. So if you're sitting here, you're interested in not only the case prep for a VAWA case, but also the drafting the VAWA petition, I would really encourage you to sign up for that webinar on Thursday. But what we're looking at here, so this is our dashboard view of Visalaw. This is the view we're greeted with when we first log into the system. Before we dive into the chat style functionality here, I do want to provide everyone context of where the information is coming from for legal research purposes behind the scenes. So I'm going to actually navigate us first into the law library here. And this is what you'll hear us refer to as the immigration law library. If we click into the filters here, we're going to see that this immigration law library is curated of primary law resources. So AAO decisions, BIA decisions, statutes, regulations, BALCA, U.S.C, all of these subcategories here that we're looking at are being compiled under our primary law resources. But in addition to those primary law resources, we also have these secondary materials. We are powered by AILA, so we do also include AILA's content and AILA links content by default. As we look at this date uploaded field, we can see this is updated on a very regular basis here. It's not uncommon to log in and see this law library being updated every 20, 30, 45 minutes throughout the course of a day. This is getting updated by an automated process of scraping government websites, but we do have manual curators on our team whose responsibility is curating this law library and vetting everything that's coming in here. Because we are curating our own immigration-specific law library and we are backed by AILA's content, we are confident in saying this is the largest immigration law data set in the world. And this chat functionality, this research functionality, is where we're really going to be able to benefit from that law library. So we could kind of start to get to work here, but what we're going to focus on for the VAWA that we're putting together is the actual project. So we're going to use this chat functionality, but within a project. So our first step today when it comes to working on the VAWA, the case, is actually to open that project. So we're going to navigate over here to the project section. And I can see these are all the projects, all the cases that I've already created for various process types that we've been working on. To create a new project, we're going to come up here to the top right, and we're just simply going to click the new project button. We'll fill in the project name, the project type. So this can be a general folder, or it can be case specific. If I click on the case project type, you'll notice it will allow me to fill in the client's name, the case type, as well as the case number here. And we're actually going to create this case for our client. So we're going to come in and we'll title this VAWA, and we'll pull up the case details here. So this is going to be for Luis Ramirez. Put this in here as well. The case type, as mentioned, is going to be VAWA. If I had a client number consistent with a case management system, I could fill in that client number here. I could also provide a description of this case in case it would be helpful. And I do have the opportunity to share this with other team members, whether it's another attorney at my firm or maybe support staff that might be working on this project as well. But we're going to come in here and we're going to create the project. And what we can see here is within the actual project, we have access to all the project details for this case. We get a list of all the chat histories. So as I start to run chats within, and I see a comment about making this a little bit larger, John, hopefully this is a little bit better here. As I start to run chats, whether it's within the project or linking those chats to the project, they'll live here on the side. And then I also get the ability to link all my files, whether they're evidence for a case, whether it's translations that I've also done within Visalaw. I can link every document related to this case here within the project as well. And to wrap this up, I get that same chat style interface here, so I can run those chats directly within the project here. Just to save some time here, we're actually going to jump into a project that we've already created and we've already set up, just so we can spend a little bit more time going through the actual outputs and not having to wait as long, because I know we have 30 minutes for today's call. So I'm going to jump us into this, the same Luis Ramirez case that we already put together. And as we see here, we have 28 files that we uploaded as evidence for this case. And we've already uploaded that into the project here, and it's ready to go. The benefit here when I run chats within the project itself is not only does the system have the context of the law library that we started the webinar on. So because I have this research toggle enabled, we know the system is pulling the information from the law library specifically. When I have this research toggle enabled, the system is not going to go out to the larger internet, to any unverified source out there to find content to answer my question. It is going to be pulling exclusively from the immigration law library that we curate. In addition to that law library, we do have this GovSync option as well. GovSync is relatively new. We are now linked with the government websites, specifically U.S.CIS, DOL, DOS. And what the system will do is when I run chats within here, it will go out to the immigration law library to find that content for our answer and essentially cross-reference or run a conflict check of that answer against the government website, double checking in two valid and verified locations that the answer it's about to prepare for me is the most accurate and the most up-to-date answer possible. Now, with that being said, we already ran some prompts over here. We're going to jump into some of the case preparation prompts that we prepared for this webinar. The first prompt that we asked the AI to accomplish, and Ian mentioned these prompts here. These prompts are relatively robust. They're relatively descriptive and pointed at what we're asking the AI to accomplish. I always say when we're putting together prompts, when we're putting together instructions for the AI, the more specific we can be with what we're looking for as the output, the better response we're naturally going to receive. So this prompt specifically is asking for the AI to review all uploaded documents for the VAWA matter, summarize the self-petitioner, the claimed abuser and their immigration status, the marriage and its termination, the nature of the claimed abuse, the key timeline, asking the system to also index every document by its category, and note whether each is an original record, a summary or expert, or an unsworn statement. We're asking the system also to list every document in the file that describes itself, an expert or summary or redacted copy, identify every person who's named in the file, and giving it some more pointed instructions there. So we'll take a little bit. We won't read through in detail this whole answer here. Hopefully this is coming through clearly though. John, please let me know if we can't see this. I'm happy to try to zoom in a little bit more. And we can also prepare or provide these prompts, but also the responses to anybody on the webinar who's interested in reading through these in a little bit more detail. But starting out here, we do receive that case summary and the specific items that we asked for within the prompt. We also get that key timeline. So every event listed in the 28 supporting documents and the date associated with that event in a chronological timeline as we see here. We also receive each document indexed by the category with the document type or status. And it also grouped every document by the category. So we can see all the immigration forms and the case setup here in every category as we scroll down.
So this is a fantastic beginning. This is probably, something that you can take, and essentially what we've drafted here is a document. This is a document you can use that can be, either for yourself and just understanding what's happening, or perhaps, like we stated earlier, maybe you're a paralegal or support staff in this instance who's triaging this case, bringing in all the documents and trying to make sense of the entire thing. I think one of the difficult things for any immigration firm is getting the whole picture when you're dealing with this 29 documents, 28 documents at once, and to bring it all together in one cohesive way. And that's what we're doing here. So we can see that we've got our timeline with Luis and his spouse. He crosses over in 2014. That's all highlighted here, and then they get married, they have a child, and then we have all of these. So, and what we're looking at here, we have the strongest parts of the file as well, and also some what to do first items if you're again looking for sort of those next steps to take, because this is a really generous output for the prompt that we provided.
Mm-hmm.
Just in this initial case filing, you could limit this to be, hey, just show me the strongest parts of this case, or show me the weakest parts of this case if you just wanted to highlight those individually. In this case, we're asking for basically a full review of the file so that we can go ahead and get started generally on this case. So this is a great first prompt to use, and we're happy to provide those. If anybody wants today, I've also put my email in the chat. If you want any of today's outputs, if you want any of the prompts as well that we used, I'm happy to provide those for you as well. Just send me an email at the end of today's session.
Absolutely. This second prompt that we ran, kind of piggybacking off that point, Ian, is actually diving into what's missing from this file for each element of the VAWA self-petition. So we're asking for it to separate items obtainable from the client, items requiring third-party records, and items that may not exist. Also ranking by how much each gap threatens approvability. So we see here as we scroll down, we can get really, we've already gotten a good insight of the overall case, right? We've gotten timelines, we know the people involved, but now we're digging into maybe the gaps in the evidence based on what we've already submitted or already provided the AI. We'll get a breakdown of the gaps itself, what's missing, what may not exist. for each category here. As I scroll down and as we kind of review each categories, the next prompt that we're going to ask the AI is actually going to be to prepare a response to my client. Essentially an email response asking what it is we need and why it is we need that. And if I scroll down a little bit more, we'll get to, well, before we get there, we also get that overall rankings of the most serious gaps. So not only are we getting the gaps themselves, the AI can read into it to give us the highest threat, also significant but not top tier threats or gaps, as well as lower threat gaps in ranking those for us. And then this is going to be a list of all just the missing records that we have. We'll get to this second prompt that we're mentioning. So essentially what we're asking of the AI, and this is a pretty lengthy prompt for an email, but we told the system exactly what we're wanting to request of the client. We asked for it in a very specific structure, but we're also asking it to use very specific language here. Now, this isn't necessarily necessary. I don't have to always tell or coach the AI on the tone to use. But in this scenario, we really wanted to make sure that the AI was writing an email in a way that wasn't questioning the client, wasn't kind of alluding to the fact that we think the account is doubted. But we do want to be sensitive in the way that we're writing that. So we, in this scenario, coach the AI very specifically on how we want it to be written. And we can see we receive actually a couple of different options for this email. So the first prompt or the first output here is going to be the follow-up documents and the details for your case file as the subject. And it's going to essentially just list out very matter of fact in plain language what it is we need. And also why it matters for each individual category here. The second prompt or the second email that we'll receive is a case status update. So this would be like an alternative email we could send. A little bit different wording, a little bit different format, but still kind of providing the client in a very clear format what it is that's needed to proceed with this case, and a little bit of detail of why those items are needed here.
And so we've just drafted a couple emails here that could easily take 30 minutes, 40 minutes, depending on how familiar you are with the case at that point in time. May take manually going back, refreshing yourself, and it also cuts down on some of these user error mistakes that you could pop up, miscommunications, or just flatly making some sort of mistake and reading the brief or understanding the entire scope of the case, or just knowing where the case is at. I mean, there's so many different ways in which having this electronic digital assistant can be really, really beneficial for your paralegals, for your support staff, and for you as the attorney in making sure that your cases continue with strong velocity. You start this case prep and you've gotten through it in just a couple minutes, and you're able to then move through and start working with the client more, finding those gaps, and then resolving those even before you've started to draft, so that you have, once you get to that stage, the strongest possible output in your draft as well, in which we will show on Thursday how we can also help you with that first draft. So you've just increased, what I say is a case velocity, moving from one step in the stage, from triaging all the way to a first draft, and things that, you could do this in a day if you have all of the right client documentation ready for you. And as we know, VAWAs are very difficult, especially from a business standpoint. Just to you want to make sure that you get through these cleanly and that you help your clients. At the same time, in order to continue to meet the needs of other people who are looking for these case types, we got to get through these as quickly as we can, while maintaining that level of perfection that you've come to expect in your work, and continue to resolve those issues as they pop up. So we've sort of just shown you generally how we would do this process, right? We would open up a project, we would input our client documents into the project, so they're all contained in one place. One of the things that we didn't mention, as it relates to projects, is you have the ability to share that project with your team members. So if you are a paralegal who's triaging this case, you can see here, Tyler's got some options for me. He's got other people on our team that he can share this project with. So everybody is getting the same view of the case at the same time. People can see the different chats that have been used in the chat history. So you're all staying on one page, and to a certain extent, this is a workflow tool as much as it is an immigration intelligence platform, and where you get your sources of truth. So hopefully that is illustrated here today, and hopefully we've done a good job for you. I'd love to answer any questions as it relates to any of the processes, anything about Visalaw AI as well. If we have some time that we can answer those for you today, or anything on the workflow side as well. We're happy to answer that too. But yeah, I mean, Tyler, you're speaking with immigration attorneys every single day at this point, and some of the benefits that you're hearing, I'm sure, are the fact that it is a flexible tool. We drafted an email. We also did case prep and case strategy at the same time, and that can be really, really beneficial for an attorney who's needing to save more time.
I think it's accurate. I think we oftentimes hear, and Visalaw really over time has evolved from just a legal research tool, right? Staying up to date as new changes are coming out, researching case law. But I think what we try to highlight in these webinars are it can do a lot more than just our question and answer type of workflows, right? We can, just like you said, we received 30 supporting documents for a case, and we need to get our head around timelines, people involved, events that happen quickly and also accurately. We need to draft emails asking for very pointed things in a very specific way. So whether it is just a legal research question, whether it's searching for specific case law, or beginning the steps of this case preparation, I think Visalaw, from a research and a chat functionality, is designed to help you in really all of those different aspects of working the case.
Absolutely. And it's better to know that, you and your team are working on the same platform and using a secure AI system, than to just be guessing. Because, from what we've seen, we feel pretty confident in saying that a lot of your support staff, your paralegals, whether you think they are or not, are probably using AI to some extent in their work today. So it's better to just have that all in one place and know what people are using. Again, I want to offer people the chance. I've got my email here in the chat. If you want a copy of any of our outputs today, we're happy to provide that for you so you can get a closer look. Tyler's got notoriously good eyesight, so if anything wasn't clear on today's webinar, it's probably just because he reads everything at 90% size. So happy to get you any of those things so you can check those out. We also have prompts I'm happy to share with you, and it looks like we do have a question in here. So I'll share what some of those prompts are after we look at this question. So this is from LA. The world of VAWA is changing rapidly. Are attorneys updating visa laws, judgment calls on what evidence is strong, weak, etc.? How is that programmed? That's a great question. Adjudicators at USCIS are tightening security and changing how VAWA requirements are interpreted. How is visa law keeping up with these nuances? Excellent question. So again, this comes back to our law library. So Tyler, if we don't necessarily have to pull up the page again, but because our law library is updated every single day, and it's also not just pulling, just cases. We saw the breadth of the items that we pull every single day. We also include context written by attorneys. So attorneys who are interpreting these items, whether that's people like one of our co-founders, Greg Siskind, or Cyrus Mehta, or any of the number of other great attorneys who are putting out pieces. We also use their interpretations and their analysis and their reporting on how these cases are being adjudicated, and pull those in, as well as the quantitative data as well. We work with partners who have, who are analyzing these things and getting these reports on these things and pulling those in. So hopefully that answers your question. It's certainly not a perfect answer. We every day we do have to strengthen and test, and that's part of our process here. One thing I'll also mention is just the way that Visalaw answers its chats and its questions does differ from what a ChatGPT or a Claude might do. So one thing that we have programmed Visalaw AI to do is not to just answer any question in order to satisfy the user. If it doesn't know something, it'll say, I don't know, or this is outside of my scope. And so in those ways, we've designed Visalaw AI to stick within guardrails of what it's capable of answering and what it knows, which is coming from our immigration law library, which is vast.
Yeah, I think that's spot on. I think the immigration law library is really, from a research and case prep perspective, that is really the value of Visalaw, and it's not a perfect answer to it, but it is the answer of because that's continually being updated, as you mentioned, Ian. That is really the goal. That is the value behind this chat functionality, especially when comparing it to a more open-ended Claude, ChatGPT, that isn't using that curated data set that's being updated throughout the course of the day. We all know that this is changing, to your point, rapidly. So yeah, that's really the value there.
Yeah, absolutely. And that, in fairness, LA, what I'll say is that question is one that we grapple with every single day, and is one that everyone is trying to figure out all the time. And it's also why it's so important to have the lawyer in the loop at the same time. We can obviously say use our chat capabilities to understand the evidence and get a quick case snapshot and have it deem for us what's strong, what's weak, what things that are missing. But at the end of the day, it is up to the attorney's review. That's the core philosophy that we have at Visalaw AI, and everything that we're doing is in the efforts of empowering the attorney, empowering the paralegals who are doing this work as well. So that's a long-winded answer of saying we do our best. Additionally, so happy to answer that. Anything else, happy to answer as well. Or you can send me an email. Some of the prompts that we have today, I'll explain. We have some file intake and case snapshots. You saw that today. We have the element mapping as well, timeline and consistency review. And these are also, you can use the prompts, or you can just sort of use these as jumping off points as well. Evidence gaps and missing records, declaration development is another great use. Adverse review and RFE simulation. So this is one that we've been working on as well. Get an RFE. Ask it to produce an RFE for you for this case, and with the documents that it's got for you, so you can see what USCIS might ping if they were going to give you an RFE. That's a really fun one that we've created here recently. Confidentiality and VAWA specific handling. Exhibit organization, client communication, which you saw today, internal handoff, and tasking. That's just to name a few. Really, the possibilities are endless. So happy to provide any of those for you if you're interested as well. I don't see any additional questions in here today, so hopefully this was helpful. We would love to speak with you further. If you are a current Visalaw AI user, again, happy to provide you those prompts so you can test those as well. And if you are not a current Visalaw AI user, I encourage you book a demo with us. That's the best next step you can take here today. And hopefully we'll hear from you soon, but booking a demo is really the best way to enable your free trial, test out the product, and just see if it's going to be a fit for your workflow. And you'll talk with Tyler. You'll talk with Jack, you'll talk with Will, you'll talk with Josh, depending on where you are, and they'll be your touch point for figuring out just what you can use it for, how to give you some ideas on how to use it, and what plan might fit for you and your firm.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's fantastic, Tyler. I appreciate you joining here today, and I appreciate everybody who took the time, asked questions, and joined us. We will have another one on Thursday. We'll look forward to having you there for that. And outside of that, hope we'll hear from you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, bye-bye.